Yong Tai is not your run-of-the-mill property developer. This Melaka-based company is positioning itself as a tourism player to set itself apart from the crowd. We talked to CEO Datuk Wira Bu Kwan Loon about its grand plans in Melaka and its maiden project in KL's U-Tan. So you recently announced your maiden foray into KL, and it's quite a big one. It's Impression at U-Tan, and it's a substantial project. GDV is about 200 million, and the starting prices on the properties are 1.3 million. You've launched it a few weeks ago. How has the take-up rate been?
The take-up is actually quite good. We must say it's quite good. I think because of the uniqueness of our product in this area, in Jalan U-Tan.
Okay.
Jalan U-Tan basically don't have a small unit. I think as what we all know, Jalan U-Tan, all the units are all, they are actually generally big unit. Why big unit is because of very much to do with the local authorities, the DBKL regulation. Under the DBKL regulation, U-Tan is supposed to do only 30 units per acre. So 30 units per acre, if you considering today's U-Tan's the area of land cost, if you take say $800 per square feet, 1 acre is talking about 35 million.
Yes.
So if 35 million, you can only build 30 units. That means your every unit, the land cost component already representing something like 1/million already.
Yeah, so very prohibitive actually.
Correct. So then you build one small unit, also considered as one unit. You build one big unit, also one unit. But in order for developers to recover the 1/million land cost per unit, they have no choice but to sell at 4-5 million. At 4-5 millions, they need to build big unit. They can't be building 800 square feet, 900 square feet to sell 4-5 million. That is ridiculous pricing.
But there's been a lot of talk, and you know this, of limiting luxury properties. Bank Negara has gone out and talked about overhang, oversaturation and all this. Of course, you got this approval long ago before all this limitation comes in. But if you want to if you want to build like Impression 2, you know, how are you going to do that with like limitations like this?
That's why choosing the right location and having the right products become very important. Okay. So in this case, we can have this Impressions, this U-Tan project that we can do something like a smaller unit, which is something that the whole area don't have. So that put us in a better position.
Of course, Yong Tai is a Melaka developer. You guys had your start there, right? You're Melaka born yourself. So why not just sort of like specialize in more stuff in Melaka? The Dawn, which is actually right behind you, was your first big project. I mean, why not grow the success in Melaka or pick somewhere else that's not as crowded as Klang Valley or Selangor?
Actually, yes, I'm a Melaka boy. Our developments are mainly focused in Melaka. Because the nature of our Melaka project is more towards, we call it a cultural and the tourism related development. So that needs a lot of capitals to put in as a starting. But as in business or as in any of the developments or into the business, we need a balance of cash flow. So why we take up the KL project is for two reasons. One, we need to have some presence in Klang Valley. And the second thing is considering this project and the nature of this project, which we believe it will give us a healthy cash flow. So we need some cash flow in order to support the initial part of our developments in Melaka.
The township you're talking about is Impression
City.
in Melaka. So that also includes what you consider sort of like your cornerstone, your main piece, which is the Encore. It's a massive amphitheatre that you're building right in the center of Impression City. So here's the thing, you actually just touched that you are not a typical property company because you do tourism.
Yes.
So Encore is the main example of that, right? Because Encore, you're going to host a show called Impression, a show that's been best known in China.
Correct.
So tell us about that one.
This Encore Melaka is actually one of the Impression series. You see, Impression series is directed by this world-famous director, Mr. Zhang Yimou, who is actually the director for the Beijing Olympic opening and closing ceremony. So in China, there are these so-called Impressions performance that started, the first one was started in 2003 in this place called Guilin. Then after that, they have expanded to Lijiang, to Westlake, Hangzhou, to a lot of other cities in China. So it is some kind of very amazing show if you have seen that before.
Are you scared that because it's a very Chinese show, it's only appealing to like Chinese tourists and not the locals? Because the locals are going to be there all the time. They're the ones who you want to come back and watch the show.
I think this is what something that people misunderstood, that the impression shows is a China show or whatever thing. Actually, it is not. It just happened that it's directed by the Chinese director. And it has never moved out from China before. The 9 impression shows are all located in China, and that's why it makes people think it is actually a Chinese shows or whatever thing. But more accurate to say is, every impression shows that they go to, they are actually talking about the local story.
You guys are taking a cut of the ticket sales.
More accurate to say is we are the investor of the whole show.
Yeah, but that's really strange because you're a property company, you're not an entertainment company.
Correct.
I mean, why did you choose this way rather than safe is just rent the space out to them?
In most of the township development, everybody knows in any of the township developments, we need an anchor. In the past, most of the anchors are very much
Shopping malls or consumers.
Hypermarkets, or this specialist center,
or even education as well.
International school or whatever thing. But my years of experience in property developments tell me actually developments cannot depend on all these things as anchor. To a certain extent, this become a necessities in any other development. And a lot of times, all this so-called anchor doesn't generate a good returns to the developer. And the difference of this is, by bringing anchor in already, and this become a shows that can cater for the millions of tourists every year in Melaka. Then when you bring in these millions of crowd of people to the space, then you generate demands for F&B, because these people need to eat, they need to buy, probably retail, they need to buy, they need to stay, accommodations, then they need service and everything. So that's how the property developments is actually more like catering the needs of the people that you bring in.